I'll totally
Sorry, I'm recording.
it's all good. But yeah, I'll gladly like talk through anything that you have questions about. But yeah, no, I'll at least get my presentation deal set up. Oh, echo.
Those are those technical glitches that I was talking about.
Hey, you have sharing disabled for me?
Let me undo everything here.
It should just be on the bottom toolbar there. You just have to say like, allow me to share.
I'm gonna say, where the heck are you?
It should be bottom toolbar to the left of share screen.
It says share computer sound, optimize screen share.
No, there should be something that says like to give me access or something like that.
Yeah. Let me look here.
You'll see a whole bunch of little check marks. And it's just one that you have to check.
Advanced sharing options. There we go. All participants. How's that? Well, be quiet. Did that work for you?
Yeah, there we go.
Wonderful.
So let me do this. And can y'all see that?
Just so you're aware, I have it up on the big screen also.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Is this good like that, or is that better like that?
What do you guys want?
Is that cool?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I'm Jonathan Smith. The whole reason for the jazz thing as my logo agency name, the first job that I took in Austin, there was already another Jonathan Smith that worked there. So everyone was like, well, what's your middle name? And then that kind of just went from there where they're like, all right, we're just gonna call you Jazz.
Generic name like that.
What's that?
You shouldn't have a generic name like that.
No shit. And then oddly enough, that's what my dad always called me as a kid. So it just kind of worked, and then I just kind of ran with it. But we'll get into all that more and more. So, hey there. So here's my agency. It's pretty much a group of me and a whole bunch of friends from all over the country. So it's like people that I've gone to school with. Literally 2 of them are people that I went to LCC with. Phil Schellenberger, who Chris for sure remembers.
Yep.
And then Dennis was in our class as well. I do a good amount of like video stuff with him. But yeah, so that'd be like one initial talking point is you probably assume that you won't see each other in a couple years or 5 years, but chances are you might, or at the very least you'll be talking shit on each other, but stuff like that. But that happens too. But so yeah, I grew up in the Wilkes-Barre area and made my way to Austin. So that's where I'm at right now. This is my office that you see. I just moved here actually like 6 months ago. It's been a huge upgrade for me. The last office that I had was super cheap and didn't even have an actual window, but it was just let's work with this because who knows budget wise where I should be. But so yeah, I was born in the Wilkes-Barre area, grew up in I don't know if you guys know where Luzerne is, but grew up in the Luzerne and Shavertown area. Um, been married for 12 years. We have a 5-year-old son. And yeah, we've been living in Austin now since 2010. Did anyone have a question or something there?
Any
All
questions
good?
so far? Try it anyway. Just try it. We might have a question out there. She's afraid to unmute.
Sweet Jesus.
Maybe you need to mute.
Hey, Chris, why don't we do this? If someone has a question, it might just make sense for them to come up to your.
That's what I thought. Yep. Just come up. Oh, we have a question.
Let's
coming
hear
up.
it.
Come up to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
look at, I'll share my screen.
Hi. I was curious, you said you went to school in Atlanta. Where did you go?
So it's called Portfolio Center, and it's now Miami Ad School at Portfolio Center. It's a really weird kind of situation on how those schools came to be. If you look it up a little bit, Portfolio Center was the starter, and it was formed by a husband and wife. They got separated or divorced, and the wife kept Portfolio Center. The husband went and started Miami Ad School with like a couple other people. That same couple just recently got back together, so they combined the schools now to be Portfolio Center at Miami Ad School. But yeah, so I went to Portfolio Center as a 2-year program. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Jonathan, is that a degree program?
It is now,
It is
oddly
now.
enough. Yeah, so oddly enough, I don't even have a bachelor's degree.
Right.
I got my associate's degrees from LCC. I went to Marywood for a little bit. I'm kind of skipping around here, but we'll get there one way or the other.
We're
And,
creatives. That's what happens. We're
No,
creative.
no,
right?
this is way better than just me blabbing to nothingness. So, but no, I went to Marywood right after LCC, and at first it was cool. I'm not at all saying it's a bad school or anything like that. I'm saying for what I personally wanted, it didn't sync up with what my expectations were, and it was way more of a traditional art program, and I'm not like a typical artist. I suck at drawing. I'm not good at painting or anything like that. So like after leaving Vita's class, I was like all into Photoshop and Illustrator, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I didn't want to do like sculpting and all these other like
Traditional artwork.
art history classes and stuff like that.
And
But
funny,
I
Jonathan, think
was,
they're still the same.
what's that?
I don't think they've changed.
No, I mean most schools haven't.
Yeah.
Like it makes total sense on why to do it and everything. But we'll get to the story on how that just kind of got mixed up and how I ended up going to Atlanta. But yeah, like right off the bat, I would say like things are even, not to sound stupid and old, but like things are even so much easier now with social media, the internet, whatever, where you can look at all sorts of schools and see what's out there. You know, like I had no clue that portfolio schools were even a thing. But it really depends what your like what your niche is, what you want to be, what you want to do. If you want to do something like more illustration focused, I mean, it might really make sense for you to go a more traditional route. But yeah, I don't think there's really a right way or a wrong way. And at least from what I've noticed, just my 2 cents, I've never met anybody in the design world who has like really genuinely cared where you went to school. Honestly, I think you can get a design job anywhere without even going to LCC. If you just sat in your house and made fake projects and they looked really badass, and you went to whatever agency and you said, hey, here's my work, chances are they're not going to be like, what school did you go to? It's going to help, obviously. They're going to want to see like that you have some kind of formal training, whatever. But at the end of the day, they just want you to do good work and not need a lot of hand holding. But yeah.
Totally agree, even from a professor perspective. And
Yeah.
that just means you're self-motivated also.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think especially from starting, like I started as a junior art director when I got my first job. And like, not to overly pat myself on the back or anything, but I did not need nearly as much hand holding as a lot of the people that also came in at the same time. So that was always like a huge advantage in terms of like moving up to different levels. And yeah, like for me, like in my little story deal here, like I grew up pretty poor. My wife also grew up pretty poor, and we never had expectations of like this elaborate lifestyle or anything like that. But I did want certain things in terms of like, I didn't want to have to worry when I went to the grocery store. Like I wanted to throw shit in my cart. It's cool that I curse a little bit, right?
Oh, definitely. They're used
Sorry.
to me.
Okay, cool. But like for me, it's like I love being able to just throw stuff in my cart, go pay for it. And if it's $80 more than I was expecting, I'm not like, oh, well, we have to cancel Netflix now. So stuff like that was always real big to me. I never cared about having like an amazing house or anything like that. But yeah, like that's where it all kind of went, where I was really motivated to get to a certain level, and I always had like goals to shoot for, where it's like, I want to make this much money by the time I'm 28. I want to make this much money by the time I'm whatever. But yeah. And
Right now, sorry to interrupt. Right
No,
now,
go.
their goals are to develop a logo for themselves.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, you've been in that seat.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
we talked all about goals and making that list and hitting that list. And creatives need deadlines.
Yeah. And I had a class, it was more of a presentation class, but this was from the school in Atlanta. But he talked a lot about like the psychology of creatives, and we're automatically built to procrastinate. Like we thrive off of procrastination.
You and you.
Yeah. So it's something that's typically kind of built into us, where like subconsciously we put ourselves into that rut, because then you thrive off of like the chaos and the hurry the hell up and like figure it out, and things just kind of come from it. So I mean, I'll gladly admit that if you told me right now, like, hey, I don't need a logo done until June, I'm not going to start it this week.
Nope.
Like I'm going to start it like 10 days before the deadline. Maybe.
Exactly.
I might even start it 3 days before the deadline. But yeah, so at least if there's anyone that's like critiquing themselves and saying like I'm a terrible person for waiting until the night before to do whatever, in my opinion, that's awesome, especially if you can like trick someone like Vita into thinking you spent, 3 days on it. I see like Haley covering her mouth, and it's like that's the goal. Same thing with a client. Like when you get to the client level, if for an agency, if everyone spent 10 hours and the client thinks everyone spent 80, like win. That's like,
Win. Big
yeah,
win.
if you're able to get whatever you have in your head as a good idea and knock it out and, show it, I mean, that's awesome. But the other side is if you put yourself in a rut and you turn in garbage, then yeah, it's probably not going to end up all that great. But yeah, I already went off on a pretty solid tangent there, but
You see how light creatives are?
yeah, so feel free to just like reel me in also. But I don't know if everyone's already been like reading through these bullet points that I have on the screen, but I just wanted to give like a real quick rundown of like briefly some of the stuff that's happened in my life. Like I didn't have the perfect childhood. I didn't have like, the like hallmark moments all the time with my parents. So like there's a lot of things that roll into making you who you are, all that. I'm not going to turn this into a therapy session though. But
Yeah, but they need a therapy session. I mean, quite honestly, every student that walks through these doors think I'm only going to a community college.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's as far as they reach. And it's not true.
no. And so I'll say this, at LCC, if you're going to choose something to get an associate's degree in and move forward in life, no joke, it would have to be something art related, nursing, and then like the more like blue collar things like truck driving and all that stuff. Like,
Well, since you left, we have an Amazon warehouse across the street.
oh damn,
Yeah, everybody's working for $20 an hour, for the rest of their life.
yeah. I mean, the thing that probably would have changed my mindset just a little bit from being in that seat would have been if I knew the full range of types of careers you can get in creative. Like to me, I was always like, you can be a graphic designer or a copywriter or a whatever. I didn't know that you can also like be an animation, be an art director, be a developer, like all the different nuggets of types of careers you can have. But
Best part about owning your own agency too.
for sure. Yeah, no, and I'll get to how like this whole thing came up. I always wanted to have my own thing. I've always had like goofy little entrepreneurial businesses always. So yeah, I always wanted to get to the point of having my own thing, but I'll explain how this happened. But any questions on this, or you guys want me to keep chugging along?
Anything? No? All right.
Cool.
Cool.
No one left yet, right?
They're all still awake. Look at them.
Okay.
They're all, captivated here.
Okay. I didn't know if any of them are just putting up like screenshots of them.
Well,
after
Dylan
something.
might be a screenshot. He hasn't moved in a while.
Okay. So here, let's see. Oh, so here's us. You can see that still, right?
All we see is your first slide.
Hold on. Let's try this again.
Hey, there we go. So we might have missed a couple slides, by the way.
Okay. Well, shit.
Oh, God. Yeah, we missed everything.
All right.
They're all
Here,
yelling at me now.
Here, real quick, I'll do this. I'll go through them real quick, but then I'll also send you guys a link. And if you want to look at it again later, that's cool. Just don't steal any of my work. But so hey there. That's me. I live in Austin. This is my office. You can see it behind me. Here's the story stuff that I was rambling about.
See?
So yeah, really short story, short-ish story. That's what I was getting at before, like didn't have like just an automatic perfect childhood or anything like that. My grandmother was killed tragically when I was in 3rd grade, and that was a major defining thing for me in a lot of ways. I won't get into like everything, but like I was majorly religious before that, and that kind of shuffled up the whole thing. I'll give you the real quick story just so you can be like, oh, where's he going with that? My grandmother went to a funeral, and at that funeral, a tree fell on her while she was there. So when that happened, I was just like, damn, that really changed up my whole view on a lot of things. But yeah, so that was kind of a huge turning point for me, like in a lot of ways. But yeah, and then I'll go happy and talk about how the Muppets were a huge influence and 90s sports and stuff like that. I got into graffiti for a little bit with some friends, never like the really jerk style graffiti where you're painting on businesses and messing up property. It was always like out in the middle of nowhere. There's a place outside of Luzerne that it was legal to go to. So like we would go there all the time and like under bridges, stuff like that, but never like across the front of like Target or Home Depot or something like that. And then yeah, to top my grandmother getting killed, I was also in a plane crash, and that was pretty crazy.
That's
That
pretty
was
crazy.
I don't know if you knew about that.
I do not. No.
So it actually happened 2 weeks after Bennett was born, and it was a pretty wild time. I took my dad on his birthday for a biplane ride, and long story short, it ran out of gas while in air, and we crashed into Lake Travis here in Austin.
You have something with events that other things happen. It's
Yeah,
bizarre.
there's a lot of times where I seriously feel like I'm being filmed for like Curb Your Enthusiasm or something. But yeah. I have a lot more of those kind of stories too, but I won't. It'd be 2 more pages of this, so I'll keep going. Any questions?
We're glad you're okay. How about that?
Awesome. So this is us. I'm obviously the bigger one, and then that's Bennett and my wife. This is we went to Cannon Beach, Oregon, last year. When I first got out of school, I wanted to live in like the Seattle area really badly. I loved it there, but Aaron wanted to get away from like cold weather and go warm. So obviously we're in Austin now.
It's a little warm there.
Yeah, it'll be 90 here tomorrow, I think. And it started like 40 today, and it'll be 80-ish here in just a bit.
I'm going to bring you back home because we're going to hit 20 again.
Well, we've had some weird weather here too, man. Like we had like 16 inches or something like that of snow last year.
Oh, kidding.
And it actually, so like when it snows here, which is insanely rare.
Yeah.
It just shuts everything down because we don't have plows and salt and anything. So like when it snows here, they're just like, wait for the sun. Like that's pretty much it. I'm not even kidding.
All right. Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that we can do. What's that?
How long did that last?
So what happened was it got super cold, like below freezing, and we got hit really hard with like a foot or so the first day, and then we got a little bit more day after day. You may have heard about it on the news, but the majority of Texas power grid
Yeah.
shut down.
Yep.
So like our house, we were without power for 4 days from that.
Holy cow.
And thankfully our house has a wood stove in it, like a fireplace kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that ended up being pretty clutch and helped us out a lot. But yeah, so that's us. And then here we go. This is kind of where my whole experience has gone. So started off at LCC, going for business actually, because like I said, I always was just like, I want to have a business. I don't know what the hell I want to do, but I want to have a business. Or I thought I would just get into sales. That's what my dad always did. So like coming out of school, I'm not trying to sound funny or anything. I never even like wanted to get married or have a family. It was never like a focus for me. I was just like, I might become a truck driver. I'm like, that sounds awesome. Travel the country. I'm dead serious. I was just like, travel the country, maybe have a dog sitting next to me and just like go all over the place and see where it goes from there. But at the same time, like with the whole punk rock stuff and all that, I got really into photography and I would go to shows and take photos. And then I started making like band posters and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of oddly boiled together. Like graffiti, all that stuff. It just kind of all just jumbled together. But so then while going for business, I switched to photography, had the guy sitting in front of you, and he actually was I won't get too hallmarky, but he was a huge influence for me, and like majorly pushed me in a totally different direction than I was planning on. But yeah, just learned that like design was kind of a natural fit. And my initial assumption of design was that you would work at Kinko's or the newspaper and that's about it.
That's it, right?
But then when I found out about art direction, that's where I was like, oh, cool. So I don't have to be an awesome artist. I can be just like good at thinking of stuff, coming up with the concept, developing the game plan, and being like, oh, we should use Brian, Megan, Tim, and whoever, because that's the right style and this and this and this. So when I found out about that, that's where the whole deal was, where when I saw like what my path at Marywood was going to be, I was like, man, if I go through with this, I'm still going to need to do something else after this. So for me, I decided to go more of like a shortcut, cheat code kind of route, where I was like, I don't need to necessarily have like that specific degree to do what I want to do. And that was me also talking to friends who were already working, and they were confirming for me. They're like, yeah, you can do this, this, this. And that's kind of where I went. But yeah, this part here where I'm saying this literally happened. My buddy Phil and I were commuting to Marywood together, and there was a huge accident and we could not make it there. We weren't going to make it there on time. So we went to Barnes and Noble, just like kill time. I was reading through How magazine, design magazine.
They're in the back of the room, by the way. Nobody
No,
looks at them.
sweet.
Nobody looks at them.
Well, there was this like bright hot pink ad in it. It was like, I think it said make art, make mama proud, and something else, but it was for Portfolio Center. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, that looks awesome. And then at the bottom, it was saying how you can go for art direction and all these different types, where I was like, that's literally what I want to go for. So then I called them right there. They sent over a whatchamacallit, catalog deal. and I flew down right away, checked it out, and within a couple weeks, I was heading to Atlanta and getting started. But seriously, I will at least say that, like, I don't have any direct advice on like what schools to go to. To me, it's completely about putting yourself in an environment that you want to be in. So if one of you wants to live in LA and one of you wants to live in Montana, I mean, figure out how that's going to get you to where you want to go. For me, my personal nightmare was getting a job in New York City, because I wanted nothing, me personally, I wanted nothing to do with living in New York City. And sure enough, my first 2 job offers were from New York City. And I was just like, what the hell did I do? I'm like, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. And I just waited and waited. And then oddly enough, as I ended school in Atlanta, I packed up my Jeep with whatever fit in it. That was it. I think I had $600 to my name at this point. And I was talking to 2 different places, one in Austin and one in Denver, Colorado. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to take my time and start driving west, hoping that one of these 2 places hits me up. And then thankfully, as I was going through Mississippi, T3 in Austin, oh, here's me and Phil that day that that we got stuck in traffic. So if you're wondering why the resolution on that photo sucks, it's because it's from like 14 years ago or something.
Yeah, it's old.
But so yeah, that's me and Phil, and we still work together.
Hey, could I interrupt you?
Yeah, go for it.
We have a lot of students in here that are maybe terrified to go on to school. They're not terrified the school aspect, they're terrified about the cost aspect.
Yeah.
How terrified were you?
I wasn't terrified at all, but I was after. So I went into it just like, this is going to work out. I don't care, like whatever. I have to spend money to make money. So it is what it is. Would I have done things differently, knowing what it was like to pay off those student loans? For sure. I would have absolutely still gone to Atlanta. Yeah, I would have. My biggest thing is I would have tried to pay them off. I don't know. I would have tried to pay off my student loans faster from the start, but at the same time, some of the slides that I showed you in the very beginning where I'm talking about like my grandmother unexpectedly being killed and crap
Right.
like that.
Yep.
At the same time, I always looked at it like a meteor can hit me tomorrow afternoon. So like, yeah, I kind of want to see the Grand Canyon. I kind of want to go to San Francisco. Like, I'll pay the stuff as I can. And I like, trust me, I stressed like crazy about paying it off. And I'll overshare one thing with you. When I said I got in that plane crash, so keep in mind that was 6 years after, it was 6 years after I graduated from Atlanta. My dad and I both got lawsuit settlements from that plane crash. I got $116,000. So at the time, I still owed $80,000 for my student loans. So I paid that off literally the week that I got that money. And then I took the rest of the money and I invested it into like the market for retirement.
Right.
So that again was like a little cheat code that I got.
Yeah. And
But
listen, everything happens for a reason, right?
I guess.
I mean, it's a terrible thing, but
Yeah.
now you don't have student loan.
Right. But yeah, in the very beginning, I mean, my student loans right out of the gate, the cheapest they ever were was about $900 a month. And then they got up to the point, and never mind, I got it. They got up to the point of being about $1,600 a month. So when they were $1,600 a month, that was pretty close to what our mortgage was. What we did a really good job with was
So
not.
hold on. I gotta stop you. So you
Yeah.
had student loans and a mortgage?
Yeah.
Oh, really? And you guys are just afraid of having a student loan?
I think it's awesome that you guys are afraid of it. Seriously. Because I was totally just like, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. If I have to work a second job, I will. Whatever it was going to be. And I did do that. Like I did a ton of freelance work. Kick over to this slide. But and no joke, I've probably only shared this stuff with a couple people. Like I would never just tell my friends how much money I've made. But when I was in your seat, I like very much wanted to ask Vita, like, hey, how much money can like these people make, whatever. So keep in mind, like these numbers are based on those years and stuff. But it's really all about just like really staying on top of what you want to get out of something and like going for it. If like right out of the gate, I knew that I didn't care about making Super Bowl spots and I didn't care about making stuff that would be in Times Square. I much rather the idea of working a normal like work week, spending time doing whatever and not just being like chained to a computer. So there's nothing wrong with that though. I've got a lot of friends who've made some really badass work and I'm super jealous of it. Like I see stuff and I'm like, man, that had to have been awesome to work on a $6 million TV spot or whatever. But yeah, at the same time, I love that I haven't had to work too many 70-hour weeks and stuff.
Right.
But this is not like a guaranteed thing, but I meant to put this in here and I wanted to mention it. It has worked for me and a bunch of other friends. I've always done a really good job negotiating for myself when I go to get a job. Number one, like never just automatically take exactly what they offer you. There should be some wiggle room to get something. For me, it has worked literally every single time that I've taken a job. But someone will say, hey, Jonathan, we'll offer you $40,000. And you should know that they probably can afford 45 or something like that. But what I've always said, this has been the line that I've used every single time. I'll ask for $3,000 more than they're offering me. Basically just already showing them that I'm thinking about meeting in the middle. But I'll always be like, if you can do 3,000 more, I'd really appreciate it. But if you can't, I'll still take the job. And I think every single person who's read that from like an HR or whatever, they see it and they're like, cool, he wants to be here. He just wants a little more money. And it's never failed me. So that does, if you really take a step back now, that compounds on itself over years and years and years and years, where that extra $3,000 carries itself, and then you do it again and you do it again, and all of a sudden, you added on, more money faster than it would have taken you before. But
That 3,000 is a good mark, because if you went 5,
if you say 5, they're going to cut you in half no matter what.
Exactly.
And to me, there's no reason to have the awkward conversation right out of the gate, especially when you're starting out.
Right.
So like, why not just show them that like, hey, like I really want this. I'm excited to work here. I'm going to give you my soul. But if you can just give me an extra $3,000, that'd be kind of cool.
Right.
I think everyone should be like, yeah, no big deal. $3,000 is nothing.
Right.
But yeah. Any questions or anything here?
Anything yet? Keep plugging away.
Cool. So here, this is my first boss actually here from Austin. He's still an awesome friend to this day, like literally one of my best friends. But yeah, his name's Henry Madrano. He was the creative director that hired me at my first job. And this was us. We went to the World Series this year. So this was us hanging out there. Advice. So here's my 90s sports reference. Hopefully you have an idea who Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are, but I had a completely different thing written up for this. And I was looking for a photo of Michael Jordan and I found this photo and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Like just be in the middle of a Scottie Pippen and a Michael Jordan. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's kind of the rundown of what I'm saying. So you don't have to be the best, or you don't have to be, whatever, but if you can take some of those qualities and just be that like super reliable, like solid resource for somebody, it's going to pay off like majorly. But yeah, Michael Jordan always wanted to win. He elevated everyone around him. He had his own style. He could see like the full vision of what's going on. And then like a huge thing is that he didn't make excuses and he didn't say, oh, well, Pippen missed the shot, that's why we lost. He was like, nope, that's on me. I should have done X, Y, Z. And you get way more credit when you take the punch rather than just try to push it to someone else. And then Pippen, he didn't get nearly the same spotlight, but obviously did okay for himself. And yeah, hardworking, but quiet. He could play any position. So like super applicable, hung in there, stepped up when it mattered, not selfish. Does it make some sense? My wife at least pretended to say that it was a good idea when I went through this. So
I like the idea. I agree.
cool. At first I just had a list of stuff and I'm like, they're going to be super bored if I just blab about some crap.
Listen, listening to you is much better than listening to me. They've already listened, however many weeks. They've tuned me out already.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I understand that completely.
Been there, done that. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So here's some work. Probably the only thing that's gonna like really wake everybody up now. Any questions though? Like, everybody good?
Maybe they're saving them. Come on up. Come on up.
Hey, and
So you don't have to.
so by the way, I'm not kidding when I say, like, when I was talking about like my salaries and stuff, I swear to you all, I've very rarely shared stuff like that. So what I'm getting at is if you have like an actual question that you're wondering if it'll offend me or something, I'll tell you if I don't want to answer it. So if you really have something that you're unsure of, I mean, seriously, ask away. But what's up?
Hi.
Hey.
So you went to Marywood at first and then to Georgia. I know everything happened really quick, but so you weren't nervous about going like so far away, like such a drastic change all of a sudden, or?
Oh, so when I was going to Marywood, a huge reason that I went to Marywood, that was me settling, because I actually got an offer to Temple, and for a long time, that was like my dream, was to live in Philly, because I love the Phillies, and like I was like, man, like to me that's way cooler than living in New York, where it's like, oh, I can still have a car and I could still like hop around and whatever.
Agreed.
So yeah, and I always wanted to be close to family, and I still wanted to be like, you know, capable of getting home and stuff. Um, a lot of things changed. I won't drag into too much, but I'll just say like some family stuff happened, and it very rapidly changed my mindset on things. But at the time, I helped my mom run a dog store, not like selling dogs, but like dog food. And then she was a trainer, and we did boarding, all that stuff. And I always felt super guilty about ditching her and just be like, later, I'm moving to wherever. But I was always super close with my mom, and I talked to her a ton about it, where I was just like, I never even told her that I wanted to go to Temple. And if I would have, I know she would have been like, do it for sure, like go. But then when I found the whole Atlanta thing, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing blah, 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 blah. What do you think? And like rapid fire, she was just like, that's awesome. Like, yeah, let's go and look into it, whatever. But yeah, and then I bawled like a baby the day that I left and loaded up my trailer, and I'm not kidding, I was a wreck. But yeah, and like the whole way there, I mean, plus I was engaged at that time. Like I was engaged to Erin, and she stayed in Pennsylvania while I went to Georgia.
I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah, so Erin was still finishing up nursing school at LCC.
Mhm.
And then she also had a job working at one of the nursing homes. I can't remember the name of it, but so she wanted to finish that up, and like we just planned on like, yeah, you keep doing your thing, I'll do this, whatever. There's actually a lot of funny stuff that happened there too. So when I moved to Atlanta, the school paired you up with a roommate to live with. And since I was coming in at the very end, I literally got to stay with the last person, which was a girl. So like I just said, I was engaged and about to move in. Like at this point, we've only lived together for like a couple months. And now I'm about to go live with some other girl for 2 years. So that was an interesting conversation. And
Say the
Erin was,
least.
yeah, and at the time, this is why I'm laughing. But so at the time, Erin's like, I at least want to see what she looks like before she like agreed to this. And I'm like, okay. So
Okay.
she's like, where's she from? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, she's from Denver, whatever, whatever. And so I Googled a picture of like pretty girl skiing or something like that. And I'm like, here, this is her. And she's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. She's like, no, you're not. No, you're not living with her. And I was like, I'm kidding. This was just a Google image. And
Joke.
so it ended up working out awesome. And yeah, we would see each other like basically every month. We would just book the cheapest airfare that we can get, see each other for like a day or two, and back to business.
You made
But
it
really,
work.
yeah, no, and like it was super hard for sure. But the again, like the cheat code side of going to Portfolio Center, it was a 2-year program. It was straight 2 years, no break, nothing. You just boom, 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 went right through it. And it did go by pretty fast. You know, like a school like that, they have you so friggin' busy. Like they want you to take internships and they want you to like be working nonstop. It does not work like
Much busier than what I had, right? When you were in my class?
I'm not trying to be funny. At first I was like, God damn, this guy is friggin' rough. But at the same time, I I don't know how you are now. I don't know if you've gotten softer or
I'm
not.
a little softer. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So I will never forget one time Chris tore up someone's work that they like obsessed over right in front of them. And she cried and left the room. And then he had to like go talk to her in the hall and like bring her back and all that. But in all fairness, I will say this. Portfolio Center was, I'm not just saying it, it was, every class was a Vita. And
So you were prepared then.
yeah, so I'll give you just one quick example. I had a typography class where you had to design your own font. And the teacher was this German dude. It sounds made up. His name was Holger Kappenstein. Anyway, he gave everybody notebooks the first day of class, just blank notebooks. He's like, I want you to go home tonight, and tomorrow I want you to come back with this notebook filled with sketches. And it was like one of those marble whatever notebooks. And here's where it's 3 times worse than Vita. He walked around the room the next day. Number one, there was like 2 kids that people that didn't even have them done. He was royally pissed about that. This is day 2 of class. Everyone that did have them done, it was like pretty similar, like 12 people in the class. He took everyone's notebook, so he's holding a big stack of them, didn't even look at them, threw them in the garbage. Didn't even look at a single sketch or anything. He's like, I don't need to look. They're all garbage. He's like, go do it again. And then he gave us better. And then he gave us better notebooks. And like he demanded like that you brought some like serious stuff. Yeah, because that's right. It was day number 1 of class was a Thursday. Day 2 is a Friday. And then we had the weekend. And then on Monday, we had to show him another notebook full of sketches. But yeah, it was super tough, but it was only tough if you weren't committed to it.
Right.
Like if
And look at you today, right? Everything pays off.
Yeah, and out of the class that I was in, there was about 20 people, probably like 18, 20 people. There was literally one person who has never gotten a job. And not to sound like a jerk, I could have told you that within the first week of knowing her. Like she just wasn't there to bust her ass and do it. And the school was glad to take her money, you know, like
right.
They want you to get a job because that's their whole selling point. Is a school like that, they want you to get a job right away because that's what you're really paying for, is the opportunity to not have to work at Kinko's and then the newspaper and then an agency and whatever. Not saying that that's
then they weren't giving you the piece of paper. It wasn't the degree. It
right.
was, you're going to get a job.
Yeah, and that was the whole point, is like by you having people like Vita or, you know, working professionals as a teacher, and it wasn't just some guy that used to do this 30 years ago, that's a huge advantage. And as soon as like you're in contact with these people, they're prepared to vouch for you if you give them reason to.
Right.
So, you know, I think anyone can relate to, it's relative across any type of like friend situation, you know, like you're not going to tell whoever that like your friend Megan is really good when she sucks, you know, like that's just what it is. But I'll show you guys some work and you could ask questions, throw darts at it, whatever.
Think of some questions.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
You got anything? You have one, Ben? Come on up.
I'm not like screaming either, am I?
No, I feel like I am though. I'm in the room and screaming, so
No,
it's
you're
worse.
good. What's up?
This is Ben.
Hey, what's up?
Hello. I'm sorry if you already said something like this. So did you get a job right out of finishing the program at Atlanta?
Yeah. So as I was going to Portfolio Center, like 2 quarters before you're graduating, they have you going to things like portfolio reviews and stuff like that. So I went to 2 portfolio reviews, one in San Francisco and one in New York City. The first one was New York City, and it was kind of like a rite of passage with the school. Like you had to go there. And it's just like a job fair. You sit up at your little table, you have business cards in your book, and people come check out your stuff. And if they're interested, they take a card and they hit you up. And yeah, like within a week after that, one in New York, I got 2 job offers, and I was like, damn, like the one was for, and it was like so far from, like, this is who I am. Like I'm a bigger, like overweight dude, not at all into fashion or whatever. And my first job offer was with Abercrombie and Fitch. And I'm like, I don't want to do Abercrombie and Fitch stuff. Like that was not at all what I wanted. But and I didn't want to live in New York. But yeah, no, I just went back to Atlanta, wrapped up the course and everything, or the curriculum. And as I was wrapping up the last couple months of being there, I was hitting up all sorts of agencies and just like showing that, you know, I want to work for them, I want to be considered, whatever. And about a month before I graduated, T3 in Austin, sorry, I'm lying. GSD&M in Austin, it's like the biggest shop in Austin. And they had an opening. So they flew me to Austin, and from like one of my teachers, he's like, so they flew you there for free. Now you need to get 2 more interviews while you're there. Like take advantage of whatever.
Good advice.
Other good advice, always bring an extra shirt. On my flight there, I got seated next to a mom and a baby, and the baby dumped her drink on me. So all of my interviews, I was wearing a rain jacket. And I just told everyone, I'm like, I have a huge coffee stain on me and whatever. And like, it ended up being a really good, like, break the ice kind of thing. So maybe just dump a coffee on yourself before you go into an interview and make up a story.
I love the practical advice.
But yeah, no, I was looking like a ton for jobs as I was going to school, because I didn't want to wait until, like I said, when I moved, I had like $600. I did not have anything, and I did not have a family that I could be like, Mom, can I have $5,000? Like it was not an option. So yeah, like it was totally, like, it sounds kind of out of a movie. It kind of was. Like I loaded up a little Jeep Wrangler with whatever fit in it, started driving west, and from that GSD&M interview, I interviewed at T3 as well. That's who ended up giving me a good offer. GSD&M made an offer as well, but it was way lower. And yeah, T3 ended up being really cool as well. And it all snowballed into a ton of things. So, but yeah, does that pretty much answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
And
Anything
you
else?
were aggressive about trying to find a job, correct?
Yeah, and I've just kind of always been like a pain in the ass about stuff like that, where
Yeah, but they need to hear this because they think, you know, if Monster posts a job, well, you know, that's the only job that's there. No,
Yeah,
you have to bust down doors.
yeah, and like my other, so this was actually a really, I don't know if you ever knew this, Vita. As I was going to LCC, I almost said LL Bean. But as I was going there, my buddy Phil and I used to get the Weekender magazine,
Yeah, yeah.
and we would go
Still
through it.
around.
What's that?
It's still around.
Sweet. So we would go through that and pick out the shittiest ads in there, and we would contact them with a design, we would just do it and be like, hey, do you want this? And we put a watermark over it, and we'd be like, give us $100 and it's yours. But I mean, I'm just showing you like there was like some like hustle mentality.
Dude,
You know,
that's
like-
awesome. And that's what it takes. It's what it takes. And I'd like to get your perspective on what do you think it's going to take today? We're coming off a 2-year pandemic.
I mean, it's all about what I said before, like right now, like I'm currently looking for people all the time to add to my team. The hand holding is like the biggest thing. And I don't mean that to sound like a jerk.
No, I agree totally.
Yeah, like if you're able to show that that you are competent and you can do stuff, that doesn't mean don't ask questions or anything. But if you can show that like, hey, like I'm not here to screw around, I know this isn't school anymore, like I got it, then yeah. But I'm not at all saying do not ask questions, and like you're gonna look stupid sometimes for sure. So don't worry about that. It's way more about recovering than anything. So hitting deadlines and looking like an idiot is cool. And then making something even better in round 2. Like you guys do that right now when you have projects with Vita, where you show something, he's like, nah, not so great. You come back and it's awesome. I mean, it's a pretty sweet feeling. So yeah, same thing, like being able to show that, you know, you don't need 8 rounds to get to a good piece of work is cool.
Even the self-motivation, that's what I like to see. Do more and over and above.
Yeah, and if you're not the type to want to like cold call and like hit people up, but there's my biggest thing is the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get the word no, or you're going to get silence. Like, I guess the worst thing would be someone like is a jerk to you, but oh well. But like even right now, I hit up people on Instagram and I'll just be like, hey, would love to work with you. It works 2 times out of 20.
Yep.
But it works 2 times out of 20. So, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing. And yeah, and take on stuff where like right now, be willing to invest in yourself by giving stuff away. A lot of people will tell you not to do that. But in my opinion, if it gets you experience or it opens up an opportunity where someone's like, yeah, we'll do, you know, a couple things like for cheap or whatever, but then maybe it turns into something else. I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, another really big thing, actually, I didn't have this planned at all. Recruiters, look for recruiters. I promise you, look for recruiters. The reason they're so important is it's like the same thing of having a realtor sell your house. They want to sell your house for as much money as they can because they're going to get a commission on it. Recruiters are the exact same way. So when they're like, hey, so-and-so, I have been here and I know you guys only want to pay $42,000, but he's worth 52 and blah, blah, blah. They vouch for you and you get in. But they do a ton of legwork where they're able to like really hunt down like all these opportunities and show you what's really out there. And it just takes a little bit of the guesswork out. And the same thing, like it also shows things that might not just be like right at the top surface of easy opportunities to see. Kind of like they have the inside scoop.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely remember to look up recruiters. I mean, you can do it whenever you want. I mean, same exact thing. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be told no, and hit up 3 more of them. But yeah.
And learn from every experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. Any other questions, or I could fly through some work real quick and then do more questions.
Let's fly through some work.
Cool. So these aren't necessarily like my all-time favorites. I wanted to actually show you guys like fun, newer stuff that I've done. So I've done some really cool stuff. Like right out of the gate, I got to work on Coca-Cola and Chase Bank. And the Coca-Cola thing was like immediate dream come true. If I showed it to you now, you'd be like, yeah, that's cool. It was an app, but it was an app in 2010.
Right.
So it's already a 12-year-old app. But it
That's
was
back
really,
when apps were cool. Not so much now.
yeah, where they weren't,
After that,
yeah, where they weren't as automatic, at least.
exactly.
Like now, like you have an app, like you have a website.
Right.
But so here's some local stuff. This is for a CBD company here in Austin. It's actually a buddy that I used to work with at T3. Him and some friends started this company. They raised a bunch of money and they started this CBD business. So in Austin, THC isn't legal, but small doses of THC is legal everywhere. I'm not trying to sell you guys on getting high, but what I'm getting at is they developed a really smart product that could be sold nationwide and it could be delivered through the mail legally. So it's been a really cool product to work on. Like we got to do the packaging and all that stuff. The logo we did not do. We cleaned it up and stuff. But yeah, I think it's cool. I probably wouldn't have done it myself. But it's cool. It works. So yeah, we did this campaign for them. They didn't have a ton of money. But me and another buddy did this. We did like the copywriting ourselves and just got our hands dirty. I'll even tell, like, I think that's kind of worth knowing. So for this campaign, this was just for billboards. We did a billboard takeover in Austin. So there was like 30 of them all over town for a month and a half. But we charged $12,000 to do those initial designs. If they went to a normal agency without a friendship relationship, for sure would have been 20-ish, something like that. But yeah, so like we did all the photography, took photos of the gummies to use them to make the type. I don't know how much you guys know about Austin, but the bats are a really big thing here. There's a bridge where there's an insane amount of bats that live under a bridge and they fly out at night, eat a ton of mosquitoes and come back. So it's kind of like a just like immediately recognized thing here in Austin. And then just something like really simple, get to the point, like super short and sweet. No one knows who the hell Early Bird is, so
Right.
we can't spend 3 paragraphs on a billboard to tell them where to go. So like this is even teetering on too much copy, but yeah, this is what like went live though. This isn't just what I liked. So all these actually got used.
Great.
This is a really cool story. I'm really into barbecue and I was kind of a fanboy of this specific grill company. They're called PK. They've been around since the 50s. They make these like, it'd be like a Yeti cooler of a grill. They literally will last generations. But anyway, I was a huge fan of them before. And they posted on Instagram saying they were looking for a graphic designer. This was this year or 2021. And I saw it and I just liked it. That was it, as my like design agency.
Right.
But my buddy Dave, who's also like really into that stuff, he just comments, he's like, you guys need to talk to Jazz ATX, blah, blah, blah. And I liked his comment. The next day they emailed me and they're like, hey, we see that you do barbecue stuff and da 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 da. And same kind of deal. Like 2 weeks later, we have a contract written up and now they're like my 3rd biggest client.
Great.
So we did apparel. This is the first project we did with them. We've done like 30 projects with them now in the first year. we just got done doing all their packaging. We just did 45 boxes. So they all follow the same look and feel and all that. So these are like the actual print files that we did. But the one thing I wanted to show you guys, like being able to get to the point of doing like really clean, crisp looking stuff, like it looks real. I think it goes such a far way. And at the very least, it just shows like your level of craft.
Yep.
That's always a really big deal. But yeah, I thought showing stuff like this could be pretty cool.
It's great.
Rudy's Barbecue. This is like a 50 location restaurant chain, mostly in Texas. It's been my #1 client from the get-go. And it's a pretty big one. To give you an idea, it's about 300 grand a year of work split between me and like everyone else that works on it. So I'm not just putting 300 grand in my pocket. It's what it costs to do it all. But this is actually a tiny thing of what we do for them, but it's a project that I just thought was really cool. Every year they do 3 fundraiser cups. So each cup is $1, and then those dollars across 50 locations go to like a whole bunch of charities. So like they raise a ton of money for veteran charities and breast cancer awareness and stuff like that. So it was just something cool. And this is kind of like the graffiti mentality. Same with the billboards, where it's like, ooh, everyone sees this. Like, I love getting to see like some random cowboy walking around with one of my cups and be like, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
This is some stuff for the neighborhood that I live in. So in Austin, our neighborhood is called Apache Shores. It is, I'm not just saying it, it's a weird, like, kind of island of misfit toys kind of deal. But so every year we do all these different community things, and I usually am the one that does design for them. But I teamed up with a buddy who's a really badass illustrator, and this is for the neighborhood barbecue competition. It was like 3 weeks ago, but it's called Apache Shores, so that's the whole Native American thing. But yeah, so we did this whole deal where like these people are cruising in their golf cart, rushing to turn in their barbecue. That's how a barbecue competition works. You make your food and then you turn it in and it gets judged.
That kicks ass.
Thanks. This was, so like, this is kind of going back to what we were saying before, like kind of make your own opportunities. None of my clients would ever do work like this.
Right.
And like, I love doing stuff like this.
Yep.
So for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to waste $500 and I'm going to do, you know, some stuff for my neighborhood or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, if whatever, the barber shop or whatever that you go to, like, you know,
Just give it away.
ask them, be like,
Yep.
hey, like, for the heck of it, would you want a new logo? Would you want an ad? Do you need anything? I'd love to help you. Like, chances are they'll give you some money or a free haircut or whatever.
Right.
Like, whatever. Like, I've done tons of like freebie things just because it, you know, it allows you to do more stuff and whatever, and then get more and more connected with people. So it usually ends up paying for itself some way.
So far, you have some good trade clients. CBD
Yeah.
client, barbecue client. That's a good trade.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, this is another like, so this is because of doing the neighborhood stuff. This is a woman in our neighborhood who started her own bakery, and because she sees me doing stuff all the time, she hit me up and she's like, hey, will you do our branding? So for $4,000, I, you know, did branding for her.
Yep.
Azucar means sugar. So yeah.
Oh, wait, there's a concept there? There's a concept.
A little bit. But yeah, so this is her whole deal, and she's in love with it. And yeah, I actually got grumpy about it at first because I was like, this is my favorite logo I've ever done. And I like
I like it a lot.
cranked it out. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. A lot.
This is another random friggin' thing. My previous boss, the one that I ended up buying out, this is after I bought him out. He's like, hey, a buddy of mine owns a private jet, and they call it the Hawkosaurus because it's this just crazy looking whatever. And he's like, they want to make a t-shirt where like it includes a dinosaur. So this is me and a friend that works for Yeti that just like made this stupid graphic for these rich guys to put on a t-shirt. But I mean,
Now,
it's
are you illustrating these also?
some of them, not this.
Okay.
So like this is where like the art director side comes in. So like
Yeah.
I drew, again, not trying to be funny or whatever, like I drew the shittiest sketch.
Yep.
And I'm like, here's what I'm thinking. And it
Yep.
looks like my son drew it. And it's like, cool, I get it. You want to
Yep.
do a T-Rex with wings coming out of it and stuff. But yeah, so
Cool.
you know, again, this is another neighborhood thing. This was really recent. We do this 20-mile kayak paddle. And then here, let me do this. I should have showed you this first. It probably would have woke everybody up a little bit too, but
You got a great style, dude.
thanks. I appreciate it. Let's see. Here we go. I think this will be.
Now, while you're doing that, it's going back. What year did you graduate from here?
2006
Sounds about right.
or 5.
Did I buy or did you give me photography?
I gave you photography.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have them. They're hanging in
Nice.
the house.
Sweet.
Yep.
That's badass.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So when we reconnected, I'm like, wait till he hears that. Like,
No, that's awesome.
painted the room that was in. I took it off the wall. I'm like, I wish he signed it, but I'm 100% sure that it's him.
Next time I'm up.
There you go. Yep. Make it a
That's
point.
awesome. Yeah. Let's see if this will work. Desktop.
And if I'm not mistaken, your senior show where you gave me those was around my wife's birthday, and I gave her the one picture of the tulip.
Oh, yeah. No, that's for sure. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a shit ton of work. But
Yep. You had
um,
the coolest frames also.
yeah, that was the dumbest thing ever. I made all the frames.
Made all the frames. Yep.
And it was the dumbest thing that I ever like put myself into doing. Can you guys see
Yep.
this? Okay. So I'm just gonna pull these up this way. So here's some like pretty cool stuff, at least in my opinion. This first one is a video for my buddy Shane. I've been helping him do his band stuff since he played in bars, and now he's got like a tour bus and everything. Like, it's called Shane Smith and the Saints. If for some weird reason anyone knows who that is, but
Anyone? No, we don't have
Okay.
anyone.
they're more like country folky stuff, but definitely look them up if you're interested. They're legit good. I actually kind of don't like being his friend because I wish I could be like a bigger fan, but let's see. So can you see that?
Went away. There we go.
He won't contemplate. He won't wait for me to change my ways. No
Can y'all hear this and everything?
Yep.
Cool.
He won't wait for me to change my ways. He don't care. He don't care. From the hilltop.
You have to get those guys on Yellowstone.
They were
No kidding, really?
twice.
It sounds like, I mean, I watched the show, so it did sound familiar.
Yeah, no,
That's
they were
awesome.
on. They got on it twice. It literally crashed their site the
Yeah,
night that it
absolutely.
premiered. Yeah, so he's also. I mean, he's a musician, so he's not like full blown businessman, whatever. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, man, we just found out that we're gonna be on Yellowstone tonight." Blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Jesus, dude!" I'm like, okay, so got a hold of the hosting account. We're like, "Hey, we need to ramp this up like now."
Yep.
And normally a normal week for him is about 7,000 viewers. That's it,
Right.
which is actually kind of a lot for like a
Yeah,
middle
still
of the
good.
road, whatever. That first night was over 250,000 people. Just one night playing 30 seconds of his music.
Yep.
And yeah.
And
No,
they exploded. That's awesome.
you know the scene, do you watch Yellowstone?
Yep. Yep.
You know the scene where they're driving away with the horse trailer?
Yep.
That was his
That
song.
was it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the thing that made it even better, I'm gonna curse again.
That's okay.
They say the name of the band in the actors say it. He gets in the truck and he's like, "Let's listen to some music." He's like a little bit of Shane Smith. He goes, "A little bit of Shane Smith and the fucking Saints."
Oh,
And
that's
then
great.
they play it.
Yeah.
And that was like massively huge for him. But he was already on like this awesome upward deal.
Yeah.
So he was making a lot of good traction and everything. This is kind of in line with that. I'm gonna show you two quick things. Am I okay on time?
Oh, we're way over, but anyone that has to leave could leave, but I think, most
My
are
bad.
staying. No, you're good.
Sorry.
It's all good.
So I'll run through these as quick as I could.
You can.
We did this April Fool's campaign for Rudy's Barbecue like 4 years ago, where we said we were coming out with a brisket scented candle. And oddly enough, people friggin' wanted the damn thing. So then I actually contacted a buddy of mine back in Wilkes-Barre who owns a candle company. This was not planned at all. And he ended up making these candles and we sold out of them in a day.
Wow.
But it was because of this.
This is kind of strange right here. I saw that a store in Texas is selling a smoked brisket scented candle.
Oh, I remember this.
Perfect way to make your guests very excited, then very disappointed.
So Aaron and I were literally just getting into bed that night and we had that on and I got chills across my whole body. I'm like, no freaking way.
Yep.
And I rewound it and took a video with my phone and sent it to my boss. And he's like, "You've got to be whatever. and literally the next morning, the shipping department of the barbecue place sent a photo of all these orders just
Oh my
flowing out of the
God.
machine. But so I shouldn't technically be showing you guys this, but we're doing another April Fool's thing this year. We're saying that we're coming out with a cauliflower brisket. So
Hey, I'm Chris Albright, Chief Brisket Technologist here at Rudy's Barbecue. And we've always been known for our innovation in the barbecue world, but today I'm going to show you something that is truly unbelievable: cauliflower brisket. I know what everybody's thinking. It sounds disgusting, and you're probably right. But let's go see how this thing turns out.
Don't you bring it back. Don't you bring it back. No.
Eating bacon.
So we tried to smoke the cauliflower, but as you can see, that didn't really work that well. And now's the moment of truth. Let's cut into this thing. Man, it actually even tastes like our brisket. This is pretty good.
That is our brisket.
Dude, I love that you're having fun at your job.
yeah,
That's
and
what it's all about.
these guys have been super fun to like let us do stuff like this every now and then.
Yep.
So but yeah, if you want to follow Rudy's Barbecue, go for it.
Yep.
April 1st, that'll go live.
Awesome.
So, and that's a major no-no that I showed you that, but it's okay. Another one, I'm just going to go right into it. This is a holiday video that we did for Rudy's. This is probably my favorite thing that I've ever done, but here we go.
Perfect.
Shop online at rudys.com. Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue.
So that was the social version, and then it ran on TV as well, and
Awesome.
pretty cool. Real quick, another social. That was for May the 4th. And those are me drawing them. but
I was just gonna ask you, is that you?
That's me, but I'm cheating. I have a really light layer underneath it.
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
could
just
see.
tracing, but
It's still awesome.
it's
Yep.
friggin' tough to write with sauce.
I'm sure.
So from doing Rudy's Barbecue work, they acquired another restaurant chain 2 years ago, and I got to pitch for it and won getting to do that business. So this is almost the same concept as Rudy's, but for burgers. So we just did their first commercial like 6 months ago.
There's good, then there's mighty fine.
Like it.
So
Like it.
I mean, there was nothing crazy or conceptual or anything. It's just a clean
Yeah.
burger video.
And it made me hungry.
This one will take, yeah, try it.
Howdy y'all, I'm Mason Flynn. I'm a manager here at the College Stationeries. When I'm hungry, my go-to is a pulled pork holdover. You're gonna start with a piece of white bread. You're gonna fold that in half. From there, you're gonna grab a pinch of pulled pork, a little scoop of our creamed corn, and a drizzle of our barbecue sauce. Your choice on original or system. Fold it back up. And that is how I Rudy's.
So that was a series that we started where we can like change up the menu.
Yeah.
And show like you can do some creative stuff with barbecue and whatever.
And these are ideas that you're pitching to them. They didn't think of them, right? This is
Right.
all. Yep.
Yeah. So this is pretty much every month we do like a big meeting to go over like all the stuff coming up.
Yep.
And I'll almost always be like, hey, I had this idea. What do you think about
Yep.
blah, 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 blah. And half of the time they go for it.
They go for it.
But like the April Fool's thing for this year, I pitched them 3 ideas. Like this is kind of one of my things too: mild, wild, safe. That's how I always do work, where it's like you have your safe option that you know they're gonna pick for
Yep.
sure and not be offended by it or anything. Then show them something insane, that not insane, but the one that's gonna like make them
Right there. Yep.
whatever. And then like a like in the middle one, and chances are they'll want to make like a Frankenstein of all of it and
Yep.
whatever. But yeah, I didn't mean to go over time that much. I'm sorry, but
I'm glad you did.
appreciate it.
Do you guys have anything? Oh, we have a question. You want to come
Awesome.
up?
Hi, I'm Mary Kate.
Hey.
I have a question about, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go to school after I graduate from here, but I'm actually interested in living in Austin or Miami, or like somewhere between Florida or Austin. But I just like to know like what the field's like out there, and if there's a lot of jobs hiring and everything like that.
Yeah, I can't tell you about Miami. I honestly don't really know a whole lot. But kind of like we were saying before, like don't be afraid to hit some people up, and like you can look at stuff on Instagram, whatever, like see designers in Miami and just be like, hey, I'm thinking of moving there. What do you think?
Yeah.
Usually they're gonna be like, oh, cool, blah, 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 blah. You also have to find out on your own too, because like, of course, someone from Miami's not gonna say, oh, it sucks here, do not come here.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to do some homework and everything. That's where like the recruiter side could really benefit you, hitting up someone like that and be like, hey, I'm thinking of coming there. Do I have a chance? And they're like, yeah, I can put you in front of 6 people. But no, we love Austin. I know I said I wanted to live in Seattle initially, but I also did love the idea of warmer weather and everything.
That's my opinion too.
Yeah, and I don't mean that at all. And a lot of people back home get offended that we left and stuff, and they automatically go to, oh, you think you're better than us now?
Yes.
Not,
Yep.
I promise you that's not it at all. I just didn't want to live in the cold anymore.
Yep.
And I spent a chunk of my life there. I'm ready to go somewhere else. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to live. No, we love Austin. There's a ton of opportunity here. It's actually going extra crazy right now because Tesla has been building here
Right.
and they turned Austin into their headquarters. So yeah, if you're planning on buying a house or something, it's insanely tough. To give you an idea, this is not braggy at all, just to give you an idea. We bought our house 8 years ago. This is our second house. We don't own two houses, but it's the second house that we've purchased. We bought it for $298,000. It is now worth a little over 1.2 million.
Yep.
And it is not fancy or anything. It is like, it looks like a little farmhouse. It's not big. It's not like anything special. Like, we're actually putting tons of money into it. It's just that it's on a decent chunk of land and it's in Austin.
Right.
But where I'm going with that is really do your homework if you're going somewhere that's probably going to be like super expensive. So meaning like knowing that you're probably going to need to live with some roommates, or you're going to need to like buddy up with someone to afford to live somewhere, you know, like, because yeah, it'd be tough. Like, if you were going to rent here, you're probably going to need to plan on spending like $1,200 to $1,500 a month just for rent. So yeah, like, that's just one of those things where you kind of have to plan it out a little bit and be like, cool, I think I know how to do this. Like, if it means working 2 jobs initially to make it work, do it. And then as better opportunities come, you know, do whatever. But yeah, I love living here. There's a lot of cool places to live. Yeah, if you like driving, I would say like go cruise around like all those areas that you're thinking of, and you know, check it out.
I'm thinking of going this summer with my boyfriend and I. We're both looking to move together, so hopefully this summer we could check it out. And we're torn between those two. So
yeah, if you make it here, seriously, I'm not just saying it. Like, give a shout, and we can tell you some places to go or whatever. Yeah,
They know a good barbecue place.
I know a couple barbecue places. Yeah, but yeah, seriously, and that's an open opportunity, open offer to everyone. Like, if you ever want to hit me up for a question that you think of 3 hours from now or whatever, like, totally give me a shout. And if I can help you, I will. If not, I'll try to put you in touch with someone that could. But yeah, that's kind of the name of the game, is, you know,
Networking.
Yeah.
And that's also why we're doing this.
For
Number
sure.
one, to build that confidence that they need. You know, it can be done right out of this little city of Nanticoke. Look at you. You're
Well, so FYI, like, I talked about my buddy Phil. He lives in Hunlock Creek. So he doesn't live in like a high rise in Manhattan. He's still back home.
right.
And that's what he wants. He wants to be like in the woods, close to family. Sweet.
And
So
you
we
still could do it all.
Yeah, so we still work together. He just had his second baby, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Well, he didn't have it, but his
Yeah,
wife.
exactly. But oh my God, it's crazy. We just I got back from the Addy Awards and I saw 3 past students. They all won awards also. They're all married. It's unbelievable to see you guys, you know, connecting up again. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, no, like, same here. I love that a handful of us have still been able to stay in touch and all that. And it is always really cool. Like, Dennis, who I went to school with in Vita's class, Aaron and I were in Denver going to a concert, and I'm like, oh shit, I think Dennis lives here still. Shot him a message, and sure enough, we went for dinner and started working together again.
Yep.
But yeah. What was her name, by the way? The girl that just asked.
Mary Kate.
Yeah. Hey, seriously though, give a shout if you need anything, and hopefully that all answered your question a bit.
I definitely will.
Awesome.
I'm gonna turn on the lights. So you can see everyone. Oh, you quit. Look at that. That's so much better. Look at it. We can see everybody now. We don't look like we're in the dark.
It's like,
You have a question? Come on up.
it's like playing closing time at a bar now. And
Yeah, right?
Hi, I'm Hannah.
hey,
I actually have two questions. My first one, I know you did. You say you did a lot of freelancing jobs. When you finished school, like, how did you like start doing your first job? Like, how did?
So basically, how'd you get clients?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, did you get clients while you're in school? Or, like, how did you get like your first real job?
When I was at Portfolio Center, I had internships. So you would get you didn't automatically get, but you can like say that you wanted to do an internship, and you'd get like a 3-month internship. I did 3 different ones, and seriously, it truly turns into you meet people, and people are like, oh, hey, I'm gonna give her a shout and see if she wants to do my cousin's whatever logo, and then it just happens. And then if you do good work and you're fair and you're like timely and whatever, then I mean, why wouldn't your name get spread? But no, like I really don't do any like insane networking or anything. My biggest benefit was getting a job at a place that had 300 employees, and I didn't screw up with them. So then 300 people went, well, not 300, but a lot of people went to totally different places. And then, you know, they keep you in mind, and, you know, you, at that point you have however many people across the country, you know, giving you a shout. 3 of my current clients are from people that I used to work with at T3. And
So you would highly recommend working first than trying to do what you're doing or what I'm doing. Yes?
yeah, I mean, definitely try to get some opportunities. I mean, at the very least, you're gonna make mistakes really cheap first, and then you know, get into like the big leagues or whatever. But yeah, no, for sure I would just keep your eyes open. And like I said before, there's nothing wrong with you going through the newspaper and being like, man, his landscaping ad looks like garbage. And then be like, hey man, do you want an updated whatever website, band, like, you know, whatever it is, helping someone with their social, or doing a logo, like, you know, a lot of times it'll go somewhere. And a lot of times it'll be a belly flop. Like, oh well, that's just kind of how I have to look at it.
On to the next one. That's all.
Yeah, like I promise you, do not ever take someone telling you no as like direct defeat. You can consider it some level of defeat, but I mean, there's other stuff. And, you know, maybe you did a crappy job presenting yourself to that person, or maybe, you know, whatever. So like, be critical of yourself, you know, like, don't just, I hope it doesn't sound like a jerk, but like, don't just force yourself into thinking everything you do is amazing. You know, like, look at it, have someone that like you really want to be like style wise or whatever. And I mean, secretly make something. There's nothing stopping you from going home right now and making a Nike ad.
A seltzer.
Like, you know, like
Currently making a seltzer.
yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but then like where I would go is, and seriously, so this is where it's like, I can only see so many names, but it's like your goal, unfortunately, should be to be better than Haley and Hannah and Ben and whatever. Because let's pretend all 4 of you applied for the same job. Who do you hope gets the job? Do you hope, you know, one of your friends gets it? Or are you like really trying to be the one that stands out? So like, you know, if you're making a seltzer mock-up, go on like a stock site like creativemarket.com or something, buy a $6 mock-up can, make it look like, yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Like,
real. Yep.
yeah, make it look like legit. Don't just make a rectangle and be like, oh no, it would be a can, and like make it look like, oh shit, like, is that a real company?
It's a real
And
deal.
whatever. But yeah, no, for sure, you know, go after as much as you're willing to go after and make yourself uncomfortable and go from there. But yeah, like I said, I was also a pain in the ass as a kid, where like I always wanted to make money. So like when I was 10, you know, I was shoveling snow and like stuff like that and mowing lawns, and I just went to every door. Can't really do that as much anymore, but just be like, hey, you want to give me $20? I'll do whatever.
Work ethic matters.
Yeah, like,
And, you know, if you're willing to shovel, you're more than willing to do this stuff. So, I mean, come on.
yeah,
What
and
would you
like,
rather do?
well, we
Rather be
always
shoveling?
we'll have shitty days with like a client or whatever, and I'll always like, while I'm doing this, I'm like, I'm sitting in an air conditioned room. I'm not like tarring a roof or like, I mean, it's a pretty damn good gig.
Yep.
Like, your back might hurt one day and your eyes might get sore and you might get a migraine here and there, but like, it's a pretty cush job. Like, if I wasn't talking to you guys right now, I'd be blasting music and just working. So, yeah, like I love that I could wear a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, even to a meeting sometimes. Yeah, so, and that's
Great life.
not, yeah, and that's just another thing too, like me saying that, like, as casual as this can be, that it's not automatic. Like, you can go work at places that have very high standards, and like, no, you're going to show up to work looking like whatever. And, you know, that's just what you go to. But for me, like I said, getting to work on barbecue stuff, and like, that's as awesome as it could have been for me. Like, getting to work on a like kind of big level locally, regionally. But yeah, do I wish I can say I did some badass stuff for Nike? Yeah, but I'm totally cool being able to just like make a living, live comfortably, and just do good work for whoever. But
Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for taking the time today.
yeah, sorry for
No,
going
no,
on
no,
tangents.
no, perfect.
But
I mean, obviously, we still have a captive audience here. I love reconnecting with you. I love your work. Keep it
thanks,
up.
man.
I
Yeah,
mean, it
I
makes
didn't
me
want to.
proud.
Well, that's seriously awesome, because, man, from like, I know that I've told you how much I appreciated having you as a teacher and everything, but yeah, man, it's been a major honor, and I mean, you completely redirected how my life was going to go for a very good way. So,
I
yeah,
appreciate that. It's my honor right now to have you here.
awesome.
Great work.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate it. And seriously, if any of you have questions or anything, you can ask Vita for my number. You can hit me up on Instagram. You can.
Are you on
shoot me-
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. See, there you go. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the next
gonna have
step
to
in this class.
You're gonna have to sort through like 60 Jonathan Smiths, but you'll find me eventually. Or just, yeah, you'll find me. But yeah, if you can hit me up through my website even. My website's like 2 years out of date, but
Yeah, believe me, mine too.
I was good about it for a little bit.
Plumber's faucet is always leaking, right? Yeah. Clients come first, then us.
Yeah. I said in November, normally for me, November and December are my slowest months of the year. And I was like, November and December, I'm going to work on my stuff. We pick up a new client and gone.
Yep.
But
That's all right. I like the latter. Pick up a new
Yeah.
client, pick up 2 new clients. It's okay.
yeah, and to give you an idea work-wise, when I first started this, my goal was 300 hours of work a month, not just for me, for
Right.
like everybody. And I got within a quarter hour of hitting 1,000 hours a month. So that's me and like 11 other people. Me and like 3 that are pretty much full time, and then a whole bunch of other freelancers and stuff. But yeah, it's been awesome.
That's a great life. Dude, I thank you again, really, for taking the time. I hope someday they appreciate this. you
Yeah,
know,
no.
If not
Yeah,
today.
yeah, seriously, man, like I wanted to be a teacher after having you as a teacher. And seriously, like it's awesome not to have just a bunch of duplicate personalities as teachers, and to have someone that actually pushes you and is genuine. So yeah, if you guys don't like him, that's cool, but yeah, he definitely does push you the right way. I promise you it's gonna help in the long run. But yeah, seriously, if I know I've said it 3 times, but if anyone has questions, I used to see speakers all the time that would say this, and I would always be too shy or whatever to hit them up. But seriously, give a shout if you have any questions at all, and I promise I won't talk to you for 2 hours.
I'm sure we're going to have you back anyway. All
Right
right.
on. Yeah, seriously.
Well, enjoy your weekend. Again, thank you so much. It's been great.
Awesome. Thanks again. It was super fun.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
All right. Bye.